Hi, this is Matt Vanacoro from Ask.Audio magazine, and today I'm going to take a look at the UAD-2 satellite Thunderbolt. It's a Thunderbolt effects unit from Universal Audio that will allow you to host and run their amazing suite of powered plugins without one of their audio interfaces or in tandem with one of their audio interfaces to get you more plugins. Basically, the idea behind the satellite is that it has its own CPU, and you're able to run and host plugins on it instead of using the CPU of your computer. So it doesn't matter the power of your computer. You could be mixing on the most modest MacBook Air all the way up to a Mac Pro and expect the same kind of results because none of the plugins are taking up your CPU power. They're taking up the CPU power of the separate unit, the UAD-2 satellite. I've had the Apollo for a while, and I'm pretty well invested in the Universal Audio plugins platform. So for me, the satellite is exciting because now with Thunderbolt, I can actually daisy chain it and run an almost seemingly unlimited and unnecessary amount of plugins. It's really neat. Well, we've got dual Thunderbolt ports on the back of this thing for pass-through and daisy chaining. I'm daisy chaining this right now off of my Apollo. So I haven't run into any issues with it, with turning it on, getting it running, getting it recognized. It daisy chained off the Apollo, hasn't slowed down my system or pulled anything off the bus or at all. It's worked pretty well, and my Thunderbolt displays are all functioning properly. So everything there seems to be working as expected. What I've got here is just a couple of quick things to show you. If you're completely new to the UAD system, we're talking about emulating some really classic gear in a really neat way. Some of these plugins, they operate at such high resolutions and there's such high order mathematical computations going on that it really would take up a majority of your computer processing just to run one plugin. Well, now you can actually run a bunch of these because, again, it's powered by the device itself. So I've got a Pultec Pro EQ, one of my favorite EQs, popped up there. I've got a pretty powerful Fairchild compressor, 670, and the EMT-140 plate reverb simulator. So I'll just take a look at this quick example. These two drum tracks, it's a kick drum and an overhead. This is a school that recorded some stuff, and they only had two mics for the drums, which is not really enough to get that amazing, super punchy, powerful drum sound sometimes. But we can use these UAD plugins to really clean it up and make it pretty super powerful. So let's listen to the original, recorded not even with drum mics, just with two SM58 overheads, one by the kick drum and one over the drums. So that kick drum sounds a little papery. We got a lot of leakage from other things in the room. Let's turn on all of these EQs, compressors. We've got a Helios EQ over here as well. A nice Teltronics LA2A simulator, great compressor. We put all that stuff on. Well, that's certainly a lot more powerful. Here it is without them. And it's a lot muddier. So we've been able to bring out all the cool stuff about the drums because we're using a whole bunch of surgical plugins, and I'm not really worried about the power that it's going to hit my CPU for because it's running off the UAD. Now, for those of you already familiar with the UAD system, you're probably wondering, well, how far can I push this thing? I've got the octa-core version right now, and I can start adding some just huge amounts of plugins. Let's say I want to add a LA2A to every single track here. Or let's even go with a Fairchild, which is a little bit more processor intensive. So adding a Fairchild to every single track. I've got my compression. And we'll add an EQ too. So let's go ahead and add a Pultec Pro to every single track in this sequence. I'm amazed that we can do this. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a very intensive plugin, the EMT-140, and we'll go to the mono stereo version. And I'm still well below my maximum amount. If I switch to my control panel, I'm only hitting it at 38% of what this guy can actually do. So I'm able to run so many more plugins than I could before with just the Apollo. With this octa-core unit, the sky's really the limit. Some of those really power-hungry plugins like the amp simulators or the precision mastering things that run that have an internal resolution of 192K that's doing really heavy math, you don't really have to think about it anymore. If I want to recreate a Neve console, I can put a Neve EQ, a Neve preamp simulator on every single channel, just as if I had the hardware console now. So I don't have to sit and pick and choose. I can put it on junk mics, on the snare underside mic, on the hi-hat mic, things that before I was very conservative about using my heavier plugins on. You don't even have to think about it anymore. And again, if you do use a UAD device, it's very, very easy to just it automatically assigns it to each CPU as needed. You don't need to think about what device you're putting it on. It just rotates it, throws it around, and puts it on in the most intelligent way that it can. So again, I've been finding that putting all of this stuff on, I haven't really run into any problems. I can't imagine needing more plugins than this. So it's a pretty good value for the amount of plugins that you can run. There's a lot of different bundles that you can do and get some bundled plugins, or you can get a completely bare with no plugins and you can purchase just the ones that you want. So the choice is yours as well. So really great job from Universal Audio on the UAD-2 satellite. Haven't run into any bugs, and the thing is just powerful as heck and can run just about every plugin that you can imagine. I'm Matt Vanacoro from Ask Audio Magazine, and I hope you enjoyed us checking out the UAD-2 satellite.